Now I'd like to yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. I thank my friend from Texas for his service. We'll be missing him next Congress, but we still have some more time and work to do together. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't want to talk about the bills that are sitting here in front of them because they're going to vote against at least 3 of them. We know that because they did in Judiciary Committee. These bills are pretty simple. If you are here and you evade Border Patrol, you can't stay here or come here. If you're here and you've committed Social Security fraud, you can't stay here or come here. If you're here and you've committed a DUI, you can't stay here or come here. Judiciary Democrats voted against all 3 of those. Let's put aside that if you're here illegally, you should be deported anyway. Then there's if you're here and a member of Hamas or participated or facilitated October 7th terrorist attack on Israel, you cannot stay here or come here. Now on that, it was passed unanimously. We'll see what happens on the floor when it comes to the floor, when some of the folks who are not on Judiciary Committee look at the bill. I find it interesting that blanket statement is made that some of us take our orders from former President Trump. Well, if somebody's got a phone line into Mar-a-Lago, why don't you give him a call? Because I think he'd be surprised to hear that I take orders from former President Trump in light of recent time I've spent around the country. I would tell you this, I don't take orders from the former president. I know that we shouldn't make this a political issue. I know that this is an issue we should solve, but I don't think that's what the former president was saying. I think the former president was saying this bill in the Senate is garbage, that it will make the problem worse, that we have all the power we need now to secure the border, and the current president, the current administration are ignoring it and indeed purposely avoiding the law in order to flood America, endangering Americans, fentanyl flowing in, empowering cartels, empowering China, terrorists coming into our country, criminals coming into our country. That's the truth. And what the former president knows is that the bill being negotiated in the Senate is not a good one. He's calling that out. But I can assure you, I don't take orders from the former president, nor do I take orders from Somalis in Minnesota. But some people do. That's the truth. Look, the fact here is we've got legislation before us right now to address real problems for the people that we represent. I can tell you we do in Texas. We have a bill being negotiated in the Senate that is being deemed by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle as, oh, a reasonable solution. A reasonable solution. When we had a bill last year that would actually secure the border with H.R. 2, which would close loopholes being exploited by our Democratic colleagues. I had a witness in a hearing I just had on the Constitution and states stepping into the breach. Texas, the first assistant attorney general, the former attorney general of Arizona, they all testified that there's an invasion under oath. They all came forward to say that there was the right of the governors, the right of the states to step in. I had the ACLU witness acknowledge to me, I said, hey, if cartels are coming guns a-blazing, they come across the river, can you defend yourself? He said, well, if it's a violation of state law, sure. I said, oh, really? That's an interesting piece of information to hear from the ACLU, that the state, that the governor can in fact do what is necessary to defend the people of his state based on the laws of that state, and frankly, based on every understanding of what a leadership of a sovereign would do. And that is the truth. But right now, what we have are Democrats in the Senate wanting to hide behind a bill they know has no chance of moving through because, frankly, if it were passed, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are concerned about us campaigning on this, make it a political issue. If that legislation were passed, the issue would still exist because the legislation wouldn't do anything to stop it. It sets a floor, not a ceiling. It sets a standard of 5,000 a day. Come on in, 1.8 million folks. That's the truth if you read the bill. And the reality is, the gentleman talks about, oh, we have 38,000 people in detention. Well, the truth is, we had 900,000 people get released last year. 900,000 got released. That doesn't count the ICE releases. That doesn't count the 50,000 a month, the gotaways. These are the numbers we're talking about, and they're on an extraordinary level. So here before us, I want to remind everybody, we have legislation that all it does is try to layer on common sense ability to remove bad actors, DUIs, affiliated with Hamas, Border Patrol having to chase people in high-speed chases. and committing Social Security fraud, my Democratic colleagues don't want to talk about it because they're not going to support those common sense measures. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas reserves.